Island Turtle here. Welcome to BOMISpirit. This is going to be the Saturn Retrograde video. So we are going to talk a lot about astrology. We may pull cards, we may do channel messages. I haven't decided on that. I just felt inspired because earlier today I did the Aloha Friday live. Today is the 28th, so Saturn will be retrograding tomorrow. So I'm inspired. So we're doing it. And we are going to go month to month. I'm not going to get like detailed in the astrology because we could sit here forever. But I am going to give you my 2 cents on it, and then if it applies, I will talk about some astrology aspects and things like that. Bubby, he's all over the camera today. Hold on a second. Bubs, hey, can you want to come down over here? Please? Please? You want to get down and not knock the camera over? Okay, I think he's going to a spot. Yep, he's going to a spot. But welcome. If you're new, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Website, socials, Patreon, all those things. I am wanting to lean more into teaching as far as astrology and doing astrology seminars, and Patreon will probably be part of that as well. It's starting to become clear as far as making those kinds of moves. So just enjoy the ride, I guess. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna just do a little time stampy over here. All right, so let's talk about Saturn retrograde. So Saturn will be retrograding in Pisces from June 29th to November 16th, from 19 degrees Pisces to 12 degrees Pisces. This is in tropic Western astrology, which is what I mostly talk about. I do dabble in other astrology disciplines, but I mostly stick to discussing Western and tropic. Who knows, that could change in the future. But this Saturn retrograde, so every time a planet goes retrograde, it comes with certain lessons. It's just my way of looking at it. I'm not saying it's an absolute truth. Everything that I say is mostly just from my observations and perspectives and my life experience and just things I like to research, okay? So just total disclaimer there. Everything I say is not an absolute finite truth, and if you don't resonate, you don't resonate, and that's cool. I'm just here to share, okay? Now, when we have a big planet like Saturn retrograding, it retrogrades for quite a while, and Saturn in particular brings about challenges or lessons. I just like to say lessons that help us mature. Saturn likes to help people grow up. Saturn likes to help people evolve, but it really is more in the realm of maturation, how to be more disciplined, how to be more responsible. Now, with it being in Pisces, it's akin to the Eight of Cups for anybody who follows tarot. Excuse me. In terms of Saturn is really teaching us how to not be attached or to not have expectations about certain things, how to be more fluid, more adaptable, more open, right? And so I have noticed collectively as we've been gearing up towards the retrograde energy, it's bringing on this like pressure of trying to get us into this place of presence, to be honest, is how I've been perceiving it. How to be more present, how to take things moment to moment, being open to the unknown and allowing for, yes, obviously we have desires and we have wants and we have needs, but allowing ourselves to be open to the possibilities. And that's what Saturn's helping us with. Saturn also helps us with spiritual practices and disciplines or healing modalities, creativity and creative pursuits as well. Also to help us to be more emotionally mature. Saturn's helping us big time with that and our emotional intelligence and how to be more compassionate, how to be more empathetic. And if that's something you struggle with, Saturn is probably bringing that up. Now, when a planet goes retrograde, it also becomes more like internalized. And so that pressure of Saturn, and as I was doing my notes, I was seeing it 2 ways actually. And I spoke about this earlier, where that kind of focus to be disciplined and get things done and be responsible becomes internalized on the self. Like, how are we not rising to the best version of ourselves in this kind of context, right? Now, for some people, there could be some external pressures that are happening to get us to be in this state or to get us to look at these things, okay? So that's something else I was picking up on. Now, Saturn is retrograding, like I said, from June 29th to November 16th. So July, August, September, October, November. It's a long time, but we are going to go over it. And I will say, just based on, I have all my notes here because I know I'm going to need to reference them because I went through a lot of information today, which was honestly very fun. But looking at all of these months, I will say August felt the hardest. August felt the most restless, the most pressurized. I almost want to say we have some interesting moon cycles that are influencing Saturn retrograde lessons as well. We have a second Full moon Capricorn in July. We've got a full moon Aquarius on the 19th, which is a huge day, and we will talk about it. Coming with a grand fixed cross as well. We have a couple new moons in fall, like October and November, that both have grand water trines. Only going to be helpful. It feels like as we gear up towards August, there's a lot of reflection on our own personal emotional nourishment. But then we hit August and it's just like, oh, it can feel like being put in a corner. But no, just know that whatever restrictions and delays, and I'm going to go over it, but whatever restrictions or delays, frustrations come about, it's to get you to be adaptable. It's to get you to be open to the lessons of Saturn and Pisces. If you're learning them, it's probably not going to be that hard, honestly. It's probably not going to feel that intense if you're already in the flow of Saturn Pisces energy and the lessons that come with that, right? And then as we move into fall, we kind of get like a breath of fresh air. And then we move into this like fiery phoenix-like energy, and the and the energy from April resurges for us. It like comes back. It comes back from the dead from 6 months ago, or 6 months prior, because we're not there yet. And that's going to feel really good. But we're going to go ahead and dive deeper into this. But that is essentially what is coming with the Saturn retrograde lessons. So that being said, let's get into July. July. So some big things happening in July outside of Saturn, just to give you a context, a stage, if you will, of the energy we're working with. Neptune will go retrograde. We also have Jupiter sextile the North Node. We also have Mercury moving into its pre-shadow phase of retrograde. Yes, Mercury is also retrograding this summer. We have the second full moon in Capricorn, as I mentioned before, and Chiron will go retrograde by the end of the month. This is only helping Saturn along, because Saturn going retrograde, like I said, it brings that internalized energy. Neptune will also be retrograde at this time. Pluto's already retrograde, and Mercury's gearing up to go retrograde, and Chiron will be retrograde by the end of the month. It's increasing this internalized sense of pressure that's helping with self-discovery and helping with soul searching and getting very, very clear on what is good and not good for the soul. That is what July is about. We also have a new moon in Cancer as well. So the moon cycles are interesting here because we had the first one in Capricorn in June, right? And then for this month, we have new moon in Cancer and then that second full moon in Capricorn. The new moon in Cancer coinciding with all of this like internalized focus on what is good and not good for our souls and our own sense of emotional nourishment and self-care is just bringing that more into focus. Like new moon Cancer, we're feeling a little bit more open to just prioritizing those things, including heart-based connections and heart-based behaviors and paths that we want to choose for ourselves. So really, really being more in our internal homes within ourselves, which feels really good. But then as we get towards the end of the month, when Chiron goes retrograde, and we have that second full moon Capricorn, which is, I believe, on the 21st, that full moon is very influenced by Mars and Pluto. And it's kind of funky because you have Mars and Pluto, which are very malefic, only aiding and supporting the energy of the full moon, which is in 29 degrees Capricorn. It's in that last degree. You guys have heard me talk about this. This is the critical degree point. That's how I look at it anyway. That can bring out very shadowy aspects of that sign or that celestial body, or just very overemphasized in that sign, right? Shadowy or overemphasized. And considering that Pluto will move into Capricorn 29 degrees September 1st, we're also just going through waves of that energy, the waves of energy of Capricorn 29 degrees. This full moon will really bring out your sense of ambition. This will bring out your sense of, I need to go and get this done. I need to go and achieve. I need. Yeah, that's a little bit more of the shadowy aspects of that. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. And depending on where you are leading up to it, like if you have had a little bit more ease and grace with prioritizing your internal sense of self and home, your emotional nourishment, what your soul really wants and needs, and what is good for it versus what is not, right? And really just focusing on that versus all the external stuff, or even like achievement. Achievement seems to be a big theme here throughout summer, almost like a polarity of Cancer Capricorn. So that axis will be highlighted too, on and off throughout the months, just to let you guys know. But depending on where you are leading up to this full moon, this could be a good time to balance that. to balance this newfounded strength in your internal home and self-care of your own spirit and your own emotions, and how you do want to achieve, how you do want to go about your external reality and building your future. I've said this before, and it seems to be coming up again a lot. It probably will continue to come up, but Capricorn is a future sign. It is a sign about the future, and I'm starting to realize, like, the signs kind of work that way. We have 12 signs, right? And then four, 3 categories of 4. So we have Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. All of them do kind of lean towards future thinking or higher minded thinking, which is kind of interesting, but it's just something I'm observing. But Capricorn specifically is how we are building the future very tangibly and very practically. So this could be a great time, again, to balance that with your internal sense of home and self that you are also fortifying at this time in July. Or if you're really in the shadow, that could really get exacerbated. The shadow could really come out. And I feel like there is a divergence that's already happened in June that started around the summer solstice, like 18th to the 20th is kind of where I was feeling it starting to come up. So around this time, depending on how you have diverged or how people have diverged from you, if you watch my Aloha live earlier, I called it the King of Cups outpaces the cheetah. It's kind of like the 2 paths of the King of Cups and the cheetah, essentially. So just depends on where you fall in that spectrum. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and watch the live and it will make sense to you. Okay? So coming back to Saturn in July, that's the stage. That's the stage of what is happening in July. But coming back to the role of Saturn and what Saturn is bringing, Saturn is going to be aspecting Venus and Mars and the Sun, mostly in the beginning of the month, but in a very supportive way where it's a little easier for us to commit to our emotional nourishment and stability and needs of the heart and the soul. Specifically, Venus will be trine Saturn while Venus is in Cancer around July 2nd. July 5th, we have the new moon in Cancer, but on that same day, Mars in Taurus will be sextile Saturn retrograding in Pisces. And then on the 10th, we have the sun also trine Saturn as it is retrograding in Pisces. So just to give you guys a little bit of information, but that is the month of July. Now let's go ahead and move into August. Okay. Did my face say it all? I just briefly looked at my notes and it was like, oh, that's right, August. August has a lot because Mercury is officially going to be retrograding during the month of August from Virgo 4 degrees to Leo 21 degrees, and that will be from August 4th to the 28th of August. And also there will be the new moon in Leo starting the day Mercury goes retrograde. So I'm going to say that again. August gets kicked off with the new moon Leo at 12 degrees on August 4th. And on the same day, Mercury goes retrograde in Virgo at 4 degrees and will continue to retrograde all through Leo 21 degrees when it goes stationary direct on the 28th. So the entire month of August, essentially, Mercury is retrograding, but again, it is ushered in with this new moon Leo. Okay. And while Mercury is retrograding, it's also going to aspect Chiron and Mars and Uranus, and not always in positive ways. I'm going to say that again. And while it is retrograding, it is going to be aspecting Chiron and Mars and Uranus, not always in positive ways. But what is this coming down to? So again, setting the stage for August before we bring Saturn into the equation. This Mercury retrograde in particular, this is the pinnacle of August, along with August 19th, and we will talk about it. Sorry, I thought I heard something. Actually, I'm going to do a timestamp for this. Okay, let's talk about Mercury retrograde. Because of the aspect that it's creating and the fact that it's moving from early degrees Virgo to late degrees Leo, I know this is going to sound, it's not going to sound very pretty, but it just is what it is. There is going to be a lot of reflection coming up as far as motivations of people. Like, why do we plan the things we plan? Why do we want to share and express ourselves in the way that we do, right? Think about Leo. Leo likes to be creative. Leo likes to share. Leo likes to love. Leo likes to be expressive. Leo likes to shine the light on things, but it's also going to be retrograding in Virgo, right? Plans and ethics and routines and cultivation And a lot of that, and it's a lot of spotlight energy, especially with the new moon Leo. So we start the month off like feeling very creative and wanting to get out there and share, but then boom, we hit this retrograde energy. And what it's trying to show us is our own motivations for these things in the first place. Like, are you sharing from a place of just being yourself and wanting to come from the heart? Because that's also Leo, right? So this retrograde doesn't have to be hard. It depends on where you're at and who you're dealing with, right? But if your intentions are pure of heart, I almost want to say pure of soul and pure of mind, this could be a really, really nice month. But if you're coming from a wounded place, especially because Chiron is going to be aspecting Mercury with all of this too, plus Mercury, Chiron is also retrograde along with Mercury being retrograde. If you're coming from a wounded place or an egotistical place, it might not go so well. And you're going to see that. It's going to be shown to you, right? I just heard the reveal before the reveal. Okay. Okay. No, that stresses me out a little bit. The reveal before the reveal. This can come by way of conflicts or misunderstandings. And I do feel like there's a lot of pride involved in the month of August. And I am hearing wounded pride as well. So wherever you fall on the spectrum of being very well-intentioned, coming from the heart, pure of heart, right? Versus acting out of ego, wounded ego, or even fear or scarcity, this could be a very different month for you. This could be a month where you feel, how do I want to say, rejected. To be honest, rejection is coming up a little bit. Judged, criticized, versus coming from that place and then people actually meeting you there. So very different month depending on where people are at on the spectrum. And you can experience a mixed bag if you're somewhere in between, right? I'm trying to speak to many people in many different realities on many polarities. So that is the polarity of the experience that could be playing out in August, just in reference to Mercury being retrograde. Okay. Now, what was the other thing I wanted to mention? Oh, yeah, let's talk about August 19th. Okay. August 19th, we have the full moon in Aquarius happening at, I believe it's at 27 degrees. Venus and Virgo will be opposing Saturn, and Jupiter will also be square Saturn. Now, the full moon will have a grand fixed cross. Now, what that means for those who are not familiar, a grand fixed cross is a cross where you basically have 4 celestial bodies in the different signs of that like modality. So for example, all the fixed signs are Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, Taurus. So there are celestial bodies in Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, and Taurus, but they're also close in degrees that they're opposing each other like a cross, like Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, Aquarius. So that's a cross. And actually that's a fixed cross. So what happens when we have a grand fixed cross? That happens. Oh. Oh, I didn't do a timestamp. Oh, oopsie. Well, I'll do one now. I got carried away. So what happens when we have a grand fixed cross? And if you're just using the timestamp, sorry, I won't go back a couple minutes. What happens is it's trying to harmonize 4 very different energies. They all have something in common. They're all fixed, but it's trying to harmonize all of that. And like, think of like the medicine wheel in the 4 directions. It's basically that same kind of energy. So it can be challenging, but it doesn't have to be hard. It just depends on where you're at in your journey and how this is manifesting in your life, which will be different for everybody. But it can create frustration and tension. And specifically with this full moon, there will be restrictions with money and with relationships, communication, and self-expression, because Jupiter will be square Saturn on that same day, and because Venus will be opposing Saturn on that same day with this grand fixed cross. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of a tough time. And even leading up to this, Mars and Jupiter are going to be supporting each other in Gemini. So even leading up to this day, we have Mars and Jupiter amplifying the Gemini component of the square with Saturn, which means essentially Mars and Jupiter will be square Saturn, just leading to more amplified sense of restriction of these things. Again, relationships, money, communication, and self-expression. It doesn't have to be bad. And I know there have been a lot of people for quite a bit talking about the global consequences of these aspects. Can things happen? Yes. Do I think it helps to be scared? No. Do I think it helps to be prepared? Sure. Just don't do it from a fearful place. Just do it from a place of just wanting to have your ducks in a row, right? So for the global implications, I don't want to like get into the realm of this too much, but just think about this like battle between wanting new experiences, wanting to communicate, wanting to learn, wanting to share information. And yes, that could include locally, like post office or phones, things like that, or even more expansive, like digitally, right? I guess phones for most people are digital. They don't Not many people have landlines anymore, but you know what I'm saying, right? And that is going to be fighting against Saturn, who's trying to get everybody to be a little isolated at this time. Saturn in Pisces does do that. It does do that. It wants you to be isolated, not in a way of like, I'm alone forever, not in that kind of way, but in a way where you actually can really get deep within yourself and you can actually find a sense of peace and calm in the present, in being alone, and also recognizing your own needs. And you can grow also in terms of your own personal soul development. That's why Saturn does that in Pisces. So you can imagine how that might come up for you personally, right? What else needs to be said about August? Yeah, the restrictions that are coming up with Jupiter square Saturn, it's only helping the lessons of Saturn. So again, if you have been struggling to embrace that energy, this is going to be crunch time. Just saying. This is going to be crunch time. And something else that I think is worth saying about Saturn retrograde, the whole phase, it is a preparation to learn all of these things, but it's also preparation that is providing a sense of development and emotional maturity that you can go and take out in the world and do bigger things with, or collaborate with other people, or have more like evolved relationships with people and experiences. So you can look at it that way. Like, I would say August is not going to be the month to publish things, to launch things. I feel like it's more of a month of taking some time away and actually like doing some behind the scenes work, research, that sort of thing. And again, if you've been embracing the lessons of Saturn, you're probably going to deal really well with this energy. And you also probably will be doing fairly well in your relationships as well, because you will most likely be dealing with people who are coming from the heart and soul in the first place, and who are really sitting in that intention, and who can really approach things from that higher minded way of seeing things, right? Looking more at the long term and the big picture, so to speak. So again, it can be a very different experience depending on who you are and where you're at. All right. So let's go ahead and continue to September. Okay. September. Yes. This is where the settling starts to happen, because August feels a little like a little anxious and kind of like high intensity, but very internalized. Like, it feels like that. September feels like, oh, okay. like kind of like coming off the ride a little bit. It does. It's interesting energy when I tune into it and I'm looking at all the aspects. So September, we have some big things happening. Uranus is going to go retrograde in Taurus. Pluto, while it is retrograding already, will move into Capricorn the same day Uranus goes retrograde on September 1st. We also have the new moon in Virgo. We have Mercury now being stationary direct, but the post shadow ends on September 11th. And while that is happening, Mercury is still aspecting Chiron. Mercury is still aspecting Chiron, and will also be aspecting Uranus too for a certain point in all of this. We also have a little bit of North Node activity with Mercury and a little bit of Chiron activity with Venus. We also have the fall equinox happening on September 22nd. Okay. We also have the next eclipse happening in Pisces, full moon Pisces on the 17th. That same day, the sun will also be opposing Saturn. And we do have a little bit more Saturn activity, which I'll get into in a bit. But let's set the stage for September first. I know I spewed a lot at you. Come back. Let's set the stage for September. In September, we have the new moon in Virgo happening, which this one's kind of interesting because this is happening at the beginning of the month, right? When we're like, like coming off of that like anxiety roller coaster, especially depending on how it manifests for you. If you're more in the cheetah polarity, again, watch the video that I posted earlier. How do I want to say? Or maybe you were acting a little bit more out of like wounded ego or pride or fear or what have you. You might have a lot of that intensity built up, but the new moon Virgo starts to show how you need to like face fear and face insecurity and face doubt. And it almost brings a gentility, thank you, and compassion to that kind of energy, and just helps the process along. There is going to be some further cementing of Mercury retrograde lessons at this time, the way that Venus and Mercury are playing off of Chiron in the North Node. Are you coming from a prideful place? which doesn't have to be necessarily bad, or an egoistic place, which can actually be kind of not so great, right? Just again, keeping yourself in check on where your motivations really lie and why are they the way they are, right? Now, when Pluto moves into Capricorn, this is going to be kind of interesting. I've talked about this a little bit leading up to this time, but not a lot. So when Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn, this is going to be the last time Pluto is going to be in Capricorn for 200 some years. It moves into 29 degrees Capricorn. Does this sound familiar? It should. July 21st, we had the second full moon in Capricorn, 29 degrees. There may be something about that time in July that comes up now at the beginning of September around Labor Day, if you're here in the States, where it's like a negative reflection. Okay, and as I'm feeling it, some of you may experience it as like, I almost wanted to do this, like, a wave of shadow, to be honest. I feel control with that. A wave of like, I want to get up and I want to do. I want to get up and I want to be productive. I want to get up and I want to get this done. I want to. It feels like a little nagging impulse. Keep in mind, Saturn being retrograde, still in Pisces, it may be hard to satiate that. And if it is coming from a wounded place, a distorted place, it's worth reflecting on that. But something that might have been coming up around July, especially if it's like a volatile sort of impulse, or it's coming from imposter syndrome or FOMO or etc., right? It's like I keep getting this like fear that you're not doing enough, or fear of like not rising to the occasion, or fear of missing the boat on success is like just something I keep feeling with that, which isn't, it's an illusion. It's not necessarily true, right? If that comes up, just remember this is the month to face doubt and fear and understand where it comes from so you can find that inner calm again. Because what's Saturn and Pisces trying to do? Trying to get us present, trying to get us calm, trying to get us more comfortable with dealing with the unknown, or even just dealing with open possibilities and be unattached to expectation, right? That's what Saturn and Pisces is trying to help us with, okay? Now, that is the stage for September. Now, moving into how Saturn is playing a role here. Saturn is pretty active aspect-wise from the middle of September to the end, starting with the full moon eclipse in Pisces, Sun opposing Saturn in Pisces, excuse me. Then we have Mercury in Virgo opposing Saturn, and then we have Mars in Cancer at the very tippity end, trine Saturn in Pisces, which that is going to feel really nice. By the end of September, things are going to feel really good. I promise. Things are going to feel a lot better than how it's been sounding. But the full moon eclipse in Pisces is going to feel kind of sobering in a way. It's going to be very Neptunian, because not even just Neptunian. It's going to feel very, what's the word? I almost want to say soul charged. That doesn't feel right. Soul emphasized, because it is aspecting Saturn and Pluto and Uranus, if I'm not mistaken. Like all three of those, which are biggies. Did I bring it out here? I did not. Well, no, I did not. Darn it. Because I have my notes, but I have my even more detailed notes. These are just my these are my summarized notes to make it easy for me to see all the info, not just like the detailed info. I know, I'm a little crazy. Anyway, if I do remember correctly, yes, the full moon in Pisces aspects Neptune and Pluto and Uranus in some fashion. Those are generational planets. Those are biggies. And Neptune is also in Pisces, and Pluto at this time will still be in Capricorn, but late degrees, right? When I tuned into it, it just feels like such an immense amount of clarity, but it also feels very tranquil. Like if you're in the beginning of the month, if you're not finding with New Moon Virgo, if you're not finding that sense of calm, if you're having a lot of trouble like working through your fears and doubts, the full moon Pisces towards the end of the month on the 17th, which is also an eclipse, will definitely help to bring the calm. It will also help to bring any issues that you've been having with moving through these changes or transformations. Pluto's going to take care of that real quick, right? Also creative pursuits may commence. The power of community will become very clear, especially for anybody who's been on that far end of the spectrum during the course of summer, of like the cheetah that I keep describing. of working from fear and just wanting power and competition and scarcity and insecurity, working from a wounded place. If you've been working from that place, there also could have been this fight throughout the course of summer of me versus them, right? Community connection versus independence. This full moon will make it very clear for anybody on the spectrum, on that spectrum, how important community really is, how valuable community really is. But to have healthy community, it requires coming from that place within the heart. It requires coming from the soul and being very truthful and authentic in that, right? Also, something else that may arise at this time, a balance of a need, thank you, a need to balance like logical, practical with maybe like dream-like illusionary sort of energy. Think like Virgo Pisces. Think Virgo Pisces. You kind of need both at this time. Not you need, it would be beneficial. It would be beneficial to balance that polarity with how you are managing things and making plans. Because in September, now I'm talking about the end of September, we're building up to October, November. We're building up to Libra October season, where we are going to have some Phoenix-like stuff going on, some Aries-like stuff going on, some fire coming back. We're going to need to be very grounded and balanced in our, oh, little bit of rain, and balanced in our way of seeing and thinking, right? To handle that. And especially by the time we hit the very tippity end, September 29th, Mars in Cancer trine Saturn in Pisces. Mars will be supporting Saturn in the way of trying to come from that place of the heart. Mars in Cancer technically is debilitated, which means it doesn't function so well in Cancer, but I think in this case, it's fine. Wait. Oh, that's weird. How did you get wet? That is so weird. Is it, and it's just that page. Sorry, ADD. My paper got saturated somehow, which doesn't make sense because there's no water on the table. Weird. Anyway, when we have Mars in Cancer, our motivations of how we want to take action and how we want to be disciplined and focused is coming from a very emotional place. It's coming from a place of wanting to secure emotional stability. That is Mars Cancer. Anybody who has that natally, I know it is debilitated. I know it might be hard, but just know, however your Mars is aspecting in your chart, Mars in Cancer indicates that the way you are motivated is through your own sense of emotional security or even wanting that for other people, which I think is kind of beautiful, just saying. But yes, technically doesn't function so well. But September overall is a little bit of a slowdown, facing any fears, residual shit that came up in August especially, but might have also come up in July, and getting right with the self and getting very, very clear on how important people are, how important it is to really come from the heart. And so if you learned a lot of big lessons in summer or will learn a lot of big lessons in summer, September is the time to cement that and integrate that, okay? Let's talk about October. Wow, I'm going way faster than I thought I would. October, I should have said get your notebooks ready in the beginning of this video. October is gonna be nice, okay? So to set the stage for October, we have the second eclipse. We have the new moon in Libra, which is a solar eclipse on the 2nd. October 8th, we also have some Mercury Chiron activity. Chiron's very active throughout the entirety of Saturn retrograde. And again, I will talk a little bit more about that when we get into signs. I don't know if I'm gonna do individual signs yet. You'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean. October 11th, Pluto also goes stationary direct in Capricorn. We have October 12th, Jupiter will be sextile Chiron, and we have the full moon in Aries on October 17th. Now, there are some other aspects I haven't mentioned yet that are specifically in relation to Saturn, but just setting the stage for October, that new moon Libra eclipse and then the full moon in Aries, the new moon Libra eclipse has a grand water trine and is all about harmonizing. The grand water trine is going to help a lot with this. I feel like there's also an ability to intellectualize pain, to take on this new view of our own pains and wounds, the ones we haven't worked through yet, to do any healing that needs to happen here. Now you'll see that I'm emphasizing so much about healing almost every month, or like our own wounds. that is just the energy that's present. If you've worked on your shit, you've worked on your shit. It doesn't mean that you're going to constantly be in a place of suffering. That is not what that means. The energy is there and available for people who need that. If you've worked on your stuff, again, you've... What the hell? My whole notebook is wet. Sorry. This makes no sense. There's no water on this table, and it was not wet before. Weird. Anyway, sorry, coming back. If you have worked on your stuff, you've worked on your stuff. These are just the windows of energy, okay? So if it doesn't apply to you, it doesn't apply to you. But for those where this is a big year of doing some deep, deep healing, this is a time of deep, deep healing. It just is. But coming with October, we have found the calm, at least we should have found the calm by now, and also some peace of mind in seeing our pain for what it is and how it has affected us and how it's made us who we are. But there's also this rise in commitment to harmonize and restore and find balance within ourselves and within our lives and within our relationships. Again, making peace with whatever craziness we were dealing with through the course of summer. And as we move into the full moon in Aries, that is the resurgence of April's energy. And I'm very excited for it because I know everybody was feeling, I shouldn't say everybody, most people were feeling really, really, really good in April. We're feeling like, oh my God, the world is my oyster. Like, anything is possible, and I'm confident, and I'm motivated, and I am passionate, and I feel alive. It's going to resurrect around this time, okay? Now, this is happening October 17th, just to let you know. The cool thing, too, about this resurrection of April's energy is at this point, we'll have had 6 months of lessons. We'll have had 6 months of experiences, and we'll have already had about almost 4 months of the lessons of Saturn retrograde, right? That are giving us that gift of emotional maturity that we can bring to the table and be like, you know what? All the stuff that I was feeling in April, yes, but let's tweak this. Yes, but I want to do it from this place. Yes, but let me change this, that, or the other. Like it's very much that kind of energy, which I think is very exciting. Now that's the stage. That's like the Phoenix energy I was mentioning. Now, how Saturn plays a role in this. Now, from the beginning of the month to the end of the month, Saturn is doing something interesting with Venus. Venus will be in Scorpio and then we'll move to Sagittarius. So October 4th, we have a trine between Saturn and Venus. By October 28th, we have a square because Venus will be in Sag. So Venus has taken us on a little bit of a journey in October. Oh, this should probably have been a timestamp. Oh, well. Oh, well, oh, well, oh, well. It's interesting because it feels like it's going from a very committed, focused, disciplined, loyal sort of energy to our emotional and spiritual selves, right? But also to relationships and things that make us feel good. And then as Venus goes into Sag, it's going to coincide with that Phoenix-like energy that I was talking about as we move from the new moon Libra eclipse to the full moon in Aries, where it almost feels like oh, wait a minute, like something feels complete as Venus makes that transit along these moon cycles as well. So beginning of October to end of October, there is going to be like this Phoenix rising of suddenly, I feel ready. Suddenly, I feel ready to take all I've been learning, take all I've been cultivating, researching, sitting on, marinating on, etc., and go out in the world. Go and have experiences or go have very tangible ways of sharing with other people. It feels like going from internal to external, which is actually also leading us up to when Saturn goes stationary direct, which is going to be perfect timing. But that's square though. So just keep in mind as we feel this Phoenix energy come up, that there may start to be a shift again with our relationships. It's almost like this summer period, June, July, August, and even a little bit of September as we move into fall, is very focused on who our tribe really is, who really emotionally nourishes us. And even then, probably a lot of boundaries in space because there is so much emphasis on being very internal in your own emotional regulation and maturity, right? It doesn't mean don't talk to anybody. It just means that there may be a little bit of this like non-tangibility when it comes to your relationships. But if they're real and authentic, there is a prioritizing of them, right? And especially in terms of like family or chosen family. Come this Phoenix rising energy, by the end of October, beginning of November, there's this feeling of like almost wanting to split a little bit. But I actually think it's going to culminate into a reemergence. So hang in there with me. Remember what I said in June, about June, that there's a divergence happening to experience all these things. I feel like come October, November, there are going to be some timelines that like realign and some that just never realign again. But there might be some that realign, and you might want to shift your focus away from certain connections when you have this Phoenix rising, because suddenly you're going to feel really ambitious. Suddenly you're going to feel like, I need to go and do this. I need to be more independent. I need to be more free. I need to go and taste life. Does this sound familiar? Does this sound a little bit like April? Yeah. So it is going to come back. So just know that no matter how much you're wanting to focus on what home feels like, what emotional stability feels like, what heart-to-heart connections feel like, even if you have to go as far as to focus on family, chosen or not, or who you're living with in these next couple months of summer, when Phoenix rising comes in fall, late October, early November, that taste of independence and freedom is going to come back. It's going to resurge. And as it is square Saturn by the end of October, it might feel like you can't totally do it the way you want to. And so it might come with a little bit of frustration, but it's going to come with a taste of, oh, freedom is here and I'm freaking ready for it. So it's not all bad. It's just a little complicated. Okay. Now, that being said, let's move into November. I don't know how this got wet. This is driving me nuts. Yeah. Anyway. November. November. There's a lot going on. I'm looking at all the aspects and I'm like, whoa. It's a lot, but it's not bad. It feels really good, to be honest. So we have the new moon in Scorpio on the 1st of November. We have Jupiter sextile Chiron come the 2nd. We have Mars opposing Pluto on the 3rd. I'm setting the stage for November here for you. We also have some Mars opposing Jupiter energy, Mars Chiron energy. Again, I don't want to get too stuck in the details here. The next Mercury retrograde, the pre-shadow, will start November 7th. The retrograde itself will be on the 25th. We also have Pluto officially moving back into Aquarius on November 19th, which will be fun. Chiron will be aspecting Mercury on that day. We're going to end the month with a new moon in Sagittarius. Wait, where's the full moon? Full moon Taurus on the 15th when Saturn goes stationary direct. That's because it's in my Saturn aspects. So, setting the stage for November, that new moon Scorpio is going to be amazing. And I'm not just saying that as a biased Scorpio. But the new moon Scorpio at 9 degrees on November 1st will also be coinciding with another grand water trine. The other one was October 2nd with the eclipse in Libra. This is going to bring a lot of ease with healing, being deeply transformative, also coming from this more higher-minded way of thinking. Also, when it comes to relationships, they will be very well aspected at this time. They're going to be kind of fun, to be honest with you. They're going to be kind of like spicy, because we do have a little bit of Sagittarius energy still with Venus and also with Mercury. So there's a little bit of spiciness going on when it comes to how we are dealing with people. But then we're going to be under a very positive, I almost want to say reinforced, positively reinforced Scorpio moon. Yum. To me, that just screams fun, but maybe that's not your kind of fun. I don't know. But we still have some assistance with healing energy, especially with Jupiter being sextile Chiron. Also with Venus aspecting Chiron the way that it is. Mercury aspecting Jupiter, it's going to bring some interesting things. But either way, Mercury is also trine Chiron. So we have a lot of ease and grace with any healing energy that needs to take place. And then on top of it, we have all this yummy water really aspecting well with Scorpio. And then we have the spiciness with Venus and Mercury. That's just making things a little fun. So November is going to feel really, really good. So that's the stage. That's the stage. I will say the only thing that might be a little challenging this November is we do have a little bit of balancing act with Cancer and with Capricorn between Mars and Pluto. So Mars will be in Cancer in November, while Pluto will still be in Capricorn, but it's going to finish out by time you hit November 19th. So it's at the very late degrees. So again, sound familiar, right? Capricorn, 29 degrees. It's a rough spot. It's a rough spot for it. We also are gearing up for Mars retrograde, at that time. We're going to be in the pre-shadow at that point for Mars retrograde. Mars will be retrograding in Leo mostly when we move into 2025, but that's another time. That's another video. That's another poster. For those who know what I'm talking about. For those who don't, I put out a 2024 astrology poster. It is linked below if you still want it. It's still going to be helpful for the rest of the year, but I am going to start working on the 2025 posters pretty soon here. Anyway, so when it comes to that Cancer Capricorn between Mars and Pluto, when Mars opposes Pluto, things can get a little, it kind of screams power dynamics and power struggles. It doesn't have to though, because oppositions you can harmonize way easier than you can a square, because they're just literally on the polarity of the axis, right? So just balance Cancer and Capricorn. Balance emotional nourishment, the inner home, everything we've been working on really for the entirety of Saturn retrograde, and also this sense of wanting to build your future or contribute in some way. That is very high evolved Capricorn. Sometimes people get mixed up with Capricorn. Highly evolved Capricorn energy is an energy that wants to build legacy and stability for future generations. That is Capricorn. That's why they are the CEOs. That's why they also rule institutions and governments and things of that nature. Legacy and wealth, right? Sometimes we can get stuck with Capricorn being a little dominating, or Capricorn just being all about work. That's like, I think, a very mundane way of looking at Capricorn, but I just want to make that very clear. So there might be a struggle to balance literally your emotional security and stability and your home life and your boundaries and things that matter to you, especially in terms of your chosen family, versus how you're wanting to build the future for yourself and maybe even for other people. So just some things to balance there in November, but mostly fun. And then coming to Saturn, oh, the last little bits of Saturn aspects here. November 4th, we have the Sun in Scorpio, trine Saturn retrograde in Pisces. November 12th, we have Mercury in Sag, square Saturn retrograde in Pisces. And then we have November 15th, the full moon in Taurus. And the full moon in Taurus will coincide with Saturn going stationary direct, which is just nice when it happens and aligns that way. The full moon in Taurus, I'll be honest, might be a little rough. There's going to be some big economic changes and financial changes on the full moon Taurus. And I'm sure people are already trying to put out their forecasts for the election, for the US election, for those who are not here in the States. I'm sure plenty of people are already doing that. I am not here to talk about that. If this is giving you little downloads and inklings about what's happening politically, by all means, I'm glad it's doing that for you. But I am not here to talk about politics. But just looking at the aspects of the full moon Taurus, big financial economic changes. This is not to instill fear. It's just to get you to know and understand that that's going to be a thing. And the fact that it's coinciding with Saturn going stationary direct, the planet that for 5 months at this point has been teaching us how to let go and to be adaptable and to maintain hope and faith in the face of chaos, right? Almost like finding our own peace and presence in the midst of chaos is going to move direct. And anytime a planet like that, a biggie like Saturn or Jupiter, moves direct or retrograde, I feel like it does leave behind a little wake, if you will. A little wake. Leave something in its wake as it's moving, whether it's a change, a tower moment, an event, a meeting of some kind, or a download, or an epiphany, or revelation. There is probably going to, especially on a full moon in Taurus as well, there will be probably something that will happen for everybody on that day around that time that will be significant in cementing the lessons you've been going through the last 5 months of how to be in this place of peace and detachment and adaptability that Saturn and Pisces has been teaching us, coinciding with potential changes in money and economy at the same time, especially if you're here in the States. So just wanting to leave it on that note. It doesn't have to be an all scary thing. So just a little bit of bringing things full circle. No matter what the ride is going to be like for you in the next 5 months, whether August is going to be a shit show or a pleasant surprise, or October, November is going to be a lot of fun, or September is going to be a calming month of coming down from fear and doubt and insecurity. No matter how it's going to transpire for you, just know that Saturn is here to help you mature emotionally and spiritually, by letting go of expectations, detaching, being more present, being more moment to moment, prioritizing things that really nourish you emotionally and on a soul level, etc., etc., etc. Okay? All right. That being said, I did already make notes for each sign because I'm crazy like that. I literally spent all day doing this. I wasn't going to, but I just felt so inspired I couldn't help myself. So I debated about actually getting into all of this in this video, and I'm surprised I finished all of the Saturn overview in under an hour, to be honest with you. Am I really going to go over every sign? Am I? Or should I just do a collective read? I feel like the collective read is going to be very repetitive for what I've already done the last couple of videos. I'm tempted to do signs in separate videos. I'm going to do signs in separate videos. Okay. Yes, that feels right. I will do a collective read. And then we will complete there. So if you're watching this and you want more of a personalized explanation of what could be happening for you based on the sign, those videos will be coming. I am tempted to save those for my patrons, though. I gotta be honest, because I am planning on doing a little bit of like Astro seminar talk for my patrons moving forward. So whether I do that for Patreon or for here, you guys will find out, essentially. All right, let me do a timestamp for this. I'll just do 50-50. All right. So let's get into this. I'm going to go with the Herbal Astrology deck. Let's begin. I might use the star codes Astro as well. Any messages or insights for the collective for Saturn retrograding through Pisces? They're really emphasizing September. So something else that's interesting about September, and this is a little bit more detailed, and I might even do a whole deeper dive on astrology stuff over on Patreon. I might even do it like month to month. Oh, that could be fun. Anyway, ideas fluttering away. September is interesting because it is Virgo season. Virgo season in Tropic does start in August, but I mean, September is the bulk of Virgo season. And with Saturn being in Pisces, there's going to be a lot of oppositions. September is going to bring about for everybody this opportunity to learn to balance Virgo and Pisces. How do we walk the fantastical and the practical? How do we walk the line between those two? How do we embody both? How do we ground both? How do we also not lean so far into Virgo? You know, the way our society is, we actually tend to lean into earth energy probably more than we should, especially in kind of shadowy ways, because earth signs are good at cultivating materials, right? Our material plane, our physical plane, including money and health and things that are really overemphasized in our society as important in ways that are distorted. And so any earth sign, I feel like, there's an easier tendency for all of us to get into it in shadowy ways. And Virgo will be coming up in a shadowy way because of these oppositions, amongst other things that I've done. That, again, not here. It's just way too much information. Okay. The rigidity and attachment to expectation is very Virgo. It's not highly evolved Virgo, but it is Virgo. And the opposition to Saturn and Pisces in relation to that is really going to bring that out in September. So that's just being highlighted at this time. August feels chaotic. August feels very chaotic. And then things may also shift depending on timeline changes. I just want to put that out there as well, because August feels like that. I think I drew this in the weekly I did last time, but it feels like divergence in June, and then it's like kind of a lull of energy, of like a bit of a calm, and then whoa, August is like, oh, and then I almost like we hit a wall, like a threshold. And that's where I feel like the divergence that took place in June, there may be some realigning happening there, or even a whole other moving through a portal or another divergence happening after August into September. There's a threshold. I can feel it, like energetically, there's a threshold between August and September. And it feels like, it doesn't feel like it's on the full moon Aquarius, which I was inclined to say, but no, I think it's later than that. It might be even September 1st, but I can feel it. There's a threshold between August and September that feels very dense, very solid. I don't know, interesting. Any messages or insights for the collective regarding Saturn retrograding in Pisces? Let's see. Jurgen Sancha with Transfiguration. I think we got this recently too. Mars Pluto energy with the energy of 22, which is a master number. To me, I actually look at that as self-mastery. So every time I say to me, I look at it this way. I really just want to emphasize this. This is based off of my own personal life experience. I'm not saying it's absolute truth. It's my truth. And I'm just sharing my truth with you, okay? I look at 11 as a mastery of awareness, while 22 is a mastery of self, right? A sense of unity, if you will. While 33, I feel like is more of a mastery of like creation. And 44, I think is a mastery of stability and maintaining that flow of creation and self and awareness. And it just, just keeps going. But anyway, Jurgen Sancha, this is akin to the Tower card. Pluto and Mars. So far collectively, we're getting this energy of not just massive changes, but also metamorphosis. Saturn being in Pisces does come with teaching adaptability in all the ways I've already described. And since Saturn square Jupiter is also highlighting a lot of Saturn retrograde, which they will also go into an exact square again later in the year. I just didn't talk about it because it's when Saturn is stationary direct. And I believe Jupiter will be retrograde at that time. But anyway, especially being highlighted by that square, it can bring, again, delays, challenges, restrictions of what you are really wanting to do. But it is to get you to learn the lessons of Saturn and Pisces. So just be as adaptable as you can throughout the next 5 months, no matter what changes happen. And the changes don't have to be bad either. They can be pleasant surprises. And that's the thing too. It's like, I was talking to a friend earlier actually, and we're both Scorpios. And so we're just going on about Scorpio energy and how much we love when change happens, because it's like, oh, we get something new. And it could be amazing. You just don't know. Like, just think of it that way. No matter what changes happen, the things that come after could be mind-blowingly amazing. So just try to keep that in mind. Any other messages or insights for the collective for Saturn retrograding in Pisces? Retreat, Saturn Pisces. Jupiter and the Sun associated with this. 27 breaking down to 9. The 2s are really big here today. As changes happen, as metamorphosis tries to happen, retreat. That is like the word for Saturn Pisces. To take time, to go within, retreat your energy, pull in your energy, contemplate, reflect, do things on your own in the dark, researching behind the scenes. Retreat, 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 retreat. This is going to be the best way to be adaptable. Don't fight this. Don't run from it. Retreat is not running. I feel like this is more about taking things at a slow pace as changes are happening in order to manage the flow and manage the self-regulate. Again, emotional maturation is a big lesson here too, but that's why I think Reishi is out here. Reishi with that Jupiter and Sun energy speaks to expansion while we take time. Kind of like the Hermit card a little bit. This doesn't speak to the Hermit card, but it is like that a little bit of we can have a lot of personal growth and expansion when we take time to be in our own energy and really take time to go and focus on the things that will bring us that sense of growth and expansion, right? Because we're not taking up our time with distractions, other people, external things that really don't have any business in our reality long term. It almost has like a purified feeling to it, actually. Sacred space. Thank you. Make sure you have sacred space for the next 5 months, whatever that sacred space is. It's going to be incredibly supportive to have that sacred space. All right, can I get one more, please? One more for the collective. I said collective conscience. And it is what it is. Can I get one more card for the collective, please, for Saturn retrograding in Pisces? Woo! I'm taking those too? Okay. Put that on the side here. Thought I caught my shirt on fire. I just put the candle out. Let me relight that. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I literally thought I caught my shirt on fire. Okay. Ooh. Interesting. So we have the 2 showing up in 22 and 27. And now we have Rue with protection, Mercury and the Sun. I'm trying to get this to focus, but it's really hard to get it to focus. And then we have, what is, oh, there's weird things happening over here. And then we have Kava Kava 48 with community. So 2s, and now suddenly we have 4s. We have Pluto for both of these, and then we have the Sun and the Moon. The Sun and the Moon, the Sun and the Moon, and Pluto emphasizing both. To me, that just screams full moon. August 19th really stands out there. Also, the full moon in Pisces, which will be the eclipse, is also standing out with that as well. There is power in community. There is. There's power in communities. There's power in connection. Some of us are going to realize this in a hard learned lesson. And some of us, it's going to feel, I don't want to sound cheesy, but like a wish come true, to be honest, is kind of what I'm getting here. That's kind of what I'm getting. How do I want to say this? For those who are choosing the cheetah polarity in your reality, right? That's a lot of survival, working from fear, working from insecurity, and that is not prioritizing heart-to-heart connections, right? And really meeting people on a soul level. It's not making that number one priority, and this is making it very clear that, thank you, they said Pisces. This is something that's coming with the full moon Pisces, which is going to be I think it's October. Now I gotta double check my notes again. Hold on a second. This is what happens when you get like really in depth. It's just hard to remember everything. No, it is September. It is, yeah, see, so September seems to be the month, almost like a midpoint of the lessons that are being learned under Saturn. Because it's like we got that already with here, like something about that threshold moving to August to September. Like this is what we're going to be experiencing before that threshold. Like this is going to be more June, July, August. And this is going to be September, October, November. But coming back, if you are choosing that cheetah polarity, you won't really be prioritizing the importance of community in that way, right? And coming from the soul in an authentic, loving, compassionate way. But by the full moon in Pisces, it's going to be very clear to all of us how important that really is. And how important it is to do the work to actually be ready for something like that, for that experience. There is going to be, I feel like I'm getting pulled into August. There's going to be a little bit of social justice energy coming with that full moon Aquarius on the 19th of August. I don't even really want to go into that because there's something about it that feels, bleh. To be honest, there's something about it that feels like, I'm actually getting nauseous, that feels a little distorted. Maybe there are going to be some cheetah people work in that realm is really what I wanted to say. Work in that timeline and that reality. And social justice in and of itself is not a bad thing. Obviously, not a bad thing. It's like social justice is justice for the community, literally. But there's something about it that feels distorted, and I'm not really sure why. And maybe that'll become clear later. But what will be more obvious than anything by the end of all of this is how important and supportive true community really is. I'm hearing there's no I in team. There's no I in team. So much of the polarity of the North Node and South Node too is also lacing our entire year, right? Of Aries versus Libra, self versus others. And both leading energy. Libra and Aries are both leader energies. And right now, when, technically we're supposed to be embracing the lessons of Aries more so than anything, but I can feel it. There's this constant push-pull throughout every single month, and especially now that we're in Cancer season, as I'm recording, and then we're going to have this Cappy Cancer polarity too following us for the next 5 months. Cancer is all about emotional nourishment of connections and also other people. But this whole like us versus them distortion coming with harmonizing that Aries Libra polarity. I'm just feeling it really strong. I'll just keep emphasizing it. But let's go ahead and pull some other cards. I'm going to use the Star Codes Astro Oracle. Yeah, it's just super clear. This is definitely going to be June, July, August, September, October, November. Threshold right in the middle. The cards don't even want to be close to each other. Like these two and these two are very much like this. Yeah, something weird is happening at that time. I thought it was a realigning of realities, but maybe it is a divergence. Another one, like a major one. Can I get a card for Jurgen Sancha? Eighth house, mystery. Well, as if a tower card couldn't get any more scorpionic. Before I pull any other cards, how do I want to describe this energy? The changes that are going to be happening, the events that will happen to help us to be more oh, he's so cute. Sorry, Clyde, he's just being adorable. That will help us to be more adaptable. It's weird. It's almost like, think like, okay, a tower happens, a tower falls. And then it's just unknown. Like, it's not even, oh, the smoke is just around, so it's hard to clear. You gotta wait for the smoke to settle. No. Or cloud to settle. Interesting, I said smoke. Where there's smoke, there's fire. That feels important. Even the tower here is on fire, I just realized. Let me sit with that. I think it's going to be more for a small group of people, like where there's smoke, there's fire. There may be some things that happen June, July, August. Like I'm getting the word sabotage, whether that's self-sabotage or sabotage on behalf of others. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but like if something is being intentionally destroyed in that way, right? Whatever the intentions are, I keep hearing it doesn't matter, which is weird. It's a weird thing to say. There's going to be other things that happen anyway. I know that's probably not going to bring you much solace, but that's kind of how it's coming through. Like tower falls and then it's kind of like just unknown. And then another tower falls and another tower falls and another tower falls. Like that's how it's feeling to me. Almost like a domino of towers, a domino of changes. But it's not bad. Even if it's done with ill intent, I keep hearing it doesn't matter. Because first of all, if someone is acting out of ill intention, karma's going to take care of that. I wouldn't worry about it. I honestly wouldn't worry about it. And if you do suffer a loss at the hands of another person, I keep hearing it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're probably going to get repaid in some way, or it probably is actually going to clear the way for something even better to come into your life. Like that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. All of these towers that may be falling collectively, and collectively, I do want to say maybe even globally, maybe. I'm going to keep that at bay, actually. Let's keep that reality at bay. Some of you, it might be one change, one tower. Some of you might be 10, right? It's like everyone's reality is different. It depends on how much needs to come down. But that's what this feels like. Whatever's coming down, it doesn't matter. Because of what is going to be shown as important, what is going to be obviously beneficial and great and amazing. And for some, these towers that have been standing have been getting in the way anyway. I think that's also why 8th house is here. There's something beautiful about these changes. There's something beautiful about these towers, about these events, even if they're burned down with ill intention. It's almost like, oh, thank you for doing that. Like that's kind of how it feels a little bit, which is kind of weird. I don't know how else to say that, but I just got to be true to what's coming through. It feels a little bit like that. Oh, thanks for doing that. Like maybe if people act out of ill intention, it's going to be very clear they're acting out of ill intention, and maybe they're not going to get away with it. But like, it feels like that. Almost like thanks for making my life easy. I know it sounds weird, but that's just how it wants to come through. But let's go ahead and pull a card for Reishi. Whoa, that was quick. Solar flares with activate. The 7s are big on this little section too. remember what I was saying, Saturn retrograding in Pisces, getting us to go within, spend some time alone, cultivating in the dark, so to speak, is going to gift us what it is we're seeking, or just gift us what it is we need, for our betterment, for our highest good. And I keep getting the Hermit card here. So this might be as we are moving into the threshold, right? The Hermit always follows the star card, enlightenment, truth, and solar flares that activate pretty much is that. If you can take time to navigate these changes, these towers, and you do honor that Saturn Pisces retrograde energy, it will gift you. It will absolutely gift you with expansion. If you fight it, it's just don't. Just don't fight it. Just don't fight it. There's no point in fighting it. It almost feels like if you fight it, almost like, what's that monster from Hercules with the heads? Hydra. It's kind of like that. You try to cut off the head of the challenge to try to push through. 3 more heads are going to grow. You keep doing it, you're going to have 9 heads. And then you're going to have, I don't know, 12 or 16, 8, whatever. It's like, it's just going to keep multiplying. The problem will just keep multiplying if you keep fighting the restrictions that are trying to get you to this level of personal development and expansion within yourself. You understand what I'm saying? Again, think of it like preparation for what you can bring to the table later. And I really want to emphasize this. August is not a month to launch anything. It is not a month to put yourself out in the external world in a new way. It is not a month for that. It might feel like that because we're going to have Leo energy backing things, but that's part of the crunchiness, 1:11:11 on the clock. That's part of the crunchiness of August, right? Slow and steady. Let's go ahead and, everything's running away from me today. Okay. Can I get a card for Rue? For the collective, for Saturn retrograde in Pisces. There's a lot of funky energy on this one. Bravery and pride is what I'm hearing. Bravery and pride. There is a difference between pride and vanity. There is a difference between pride and egoistic behavior. There is a difference. Like, healthy pride is like a sense of confidence and joy and gratitude. That think, oh yeah. That's what they just gave me. And I'm like, oh yeah, that does. That feels right. Pride is a combination of confidence, joy, and gratitude. I'm gonna write that down. That is healthy pride. Can I get a card for Rue for Saturn retrograding in Pisces? I almost want to pull a card just for the threshold, but maybe we'll do that after the fact. Can I get a card for Rue for Saturn retrograding in Pisces? It's raining, but the sun is out. I love that. Yeah, I feel like this is almost like that Phoenix rising energy a little bit. We have 4 Rue protection with Taurus cultivate and the energy of 2. Remember what I said about October? It is going to be like a Phoenix rising a little bit, where we're moving from really almost like pulling our pieces of ourselves into this very harmonized place of that new moon Libra eclipse, after the sobering clarity and reality of full moon Pisces eclipse, making it very clear how important community and other people are, and coming from the very authentic sense of self and inner home, all of that goodness. And then that Aries energy comes back, and it's like, whoa. It's like, oh, that's right. I have passion. I have dreams. I have desires. And you know what? I can go and do it. I can go and make it happen. I can bring it into reality. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I do feel like at the end of the year it's not going to be a bad time to start certain things, but just keep in mind with the full moon in Taurus that there might be some unanticipated changes. Yeah, now I'm hearing a little bit of thunder. Unanticipated changes that happen. I'm not going to say that delay it, but just that need to be factored in. It's almost like getting ready to act, getting ready to go from this very internalized place to, I can maintain this emotional maturity and soul development that I have recently attained, and I can go about out in the world and cultivate what I want to cultivate. I can be a part of the community and step into the role in community that I've been looking to have. I can have my tribe. I can have my family. I can have the home I want. I can have the work that I want. And if a lot of you already feel like you're already there, this is just about improving on that. But this is like a readiness. I'm feeling a readiness, and I do feel like this is more October. Okay. Let's look at Kava Kava. Can I get a card for Kava Kava? Some of you may really like kava. Some of you may have never even heard of it. We got a kava bar in town. Personally, I'm not a big fan. There was once upon a time I was curious, and then I satiated that curiosity, and I was like, meh. Just speaking honestly, I don't think it's for everybody. I don't really like the physical effects of it, and it like makes your tongue all numb and weird. And also, like, just saying, because it's like, I do feel like at the kava bar here in town, and like, I don't know if anyone's gonna watch those, but I'm just gonna say it. I do feel like the last time I was there, which was a while ago, so just putting it out there, they were really pushing it. Like, I just wanted to try one drink, and they kept trying to get me to drink more and more and more when I really didn't want to. And there were, and you know, under the pretense that it's really healthy for you, anything not in moderation is not going to be healthy for you. And there are people who actually do get addicted to kava, just saying, just putting it out there. And if you do abuse it, like you actually can really fuck up your liver, like just saying, just put it out there, just put in, you know, valuable information. But anyway, kava, anybody who is not familiar with the origins of kava, it is part of Polynesian culture. More in a way of like people gather and commune, right? It's also why it represents community, to have fun and celebrate and have a good time. But let's go ahead and get a card for Kava Kava. Sorry, I'm just excited. I just got really dizzy. We have Aquarius with collaborate, the sign of community, the sign of communal ways of networking, interacting, and sharing information and being a visionary for bigger picture things, right? Which we kind of knew was already behind community, but here it is. So just to show you in their entirety, this is what's coming after we pass the threshold between August and September. It's pretty cool, I gotta say. I think it's pretty beautiful and pretty yummy. And this to me feels like October, November. Now again, we do got a little bit of funkiness like in November, December, because we do have that Jupiter square Saturn aspect coming up again, creating that sense of restriction. I'm not saying hold off until 2025 to do big things or to launch big things. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that at the end of the year, while there is this really cool resurgence and you're bringing the wisdom you've gained from like the previous 5-6 months, whatever it is, and you realize how important community is, how important it is to step up into whatever role you want to play in the grand scheme of all things, not just community, right? And build also things for the future and your own future and other people's futures, all those good things. That will come back at the end of the year. That is going to be present October, November, December. Some of you might want to launch some things then. Again, I'm not saying it's bad to. 2025 might be more beneficial. Maybe, depending on who you are. But even me saying that, don't let me saying that stop you. Do whatever you feel is right in the moment. Just know that this really awesome energy is coming after we pass that threshold of August, September. And it is cool. It'd be cool like that. I do want to get a card for the threshold though. I'm just looking at my decks. I don't feel like I have a deck that would be perfect for that. I'll do the herbal astrology deck again. Can I get a card for the threshold between August and September? Can I get a card for the threshold between August and September? Oh, we knew it was a threshold. Rhodiola. I don't think I've even seen this card in this deck before. It's just funny how that happens, right? rhodiola with wisdom, 37, cyclical energy. So 3 plus 7 is 10, which will break down to a 1, 10 to 1, cyclical, representing cycles for me personally. And also has Uranus and Mercury association. And it literally says wisdom. And Saturn being in Pisces in this retrograde is gifting us higher wisdom. It just is, because that is what Pisces represents. And Saturn is here to get us to rise to the occasion of learning whatever that wisdom is. Attaining that wisdom through hard work and effort. But Uranus and Mercury, there is also a evolution of consciousness happening there, and breaking of beliefs and programs are also part of this Saturn retrograde experience. But this is part of that threshold. And like I said, September 1st, Uranus goes retrograde the same day that Pluto moves into Capricorn. Okay. Which I do feel like is representing more of this place and threshold after the full moon Aquarius, August 19th. So there's just a lot of interesting energies that are mixing up here, but this is representing the threshold we need to pass in order to experience this. And I think passing the threshold is going to be a free will choice. Yeah, so the more I'm leaning into this, that threshold of August, September, that is a divergence of choosing certain timelines and realities. And not everybody's going to make that choice. And it is a choice, but look at what awaits. Look at what awaits. So let go of whatever you need to let go of. Stay open, stay adaptable, stay faithful, stay hopeful. Find the joy in the present moment and being in your inner solace and sacred space and learning from within. It will be an interesting ride. But that is Saturn retrograde from June to November. And like I said, I will probably do signs in separate videos. But yeah, this completes the first video, I guess, of the Saturn retrograde series. And like I said, too, I may be doing some astrology talks in the near future on Patreon specifically. But as I make those decisions, I will announce them. I'm probably just going to flow into it and see what happens. But if this is where we depart, I hope you guys have really enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out the website and socials and Patreon and all that good stuff. And I will see you guys later, okay? Bye, guys.